Welcome back to the Daily Dish. Today we're diving into an important conversation about cancer care and the role of genetics in modern medicine.
Our next guest is a medical oncologist specializing in cancer genetics and genomics, helping patients access more personalized and targeted treatment options. Please welcome to the show Dr. Francis Kerr. Thank you for making time, Doc Francis.
Doc Francis, thank you. We got super excited when Doc Eileen mentioned about you, and we find it very important to tell our viewers and the Filipinos about how to deal with cancer, to prevent, to know, and of course to treat. So you are. Am I allowed to say that? You're the only doctor dealing with this kind of specialty?
In the Philippines, correct?
Well, at least for the medical oncology side, yes, I do genetics. I'm the only one in our society so far.
Okay, so thank you for what you do. Earlier on the break, I had to consult also with Ferdy when it comes
Dr.
to
Ferdy.
Dr. Ferdy as well. When it comes to the terminologies that we're having, of course, oncology, we understand that, but then putting all of these together to understand the profession that you do know, let's talk about what role does genetic testing play in identifying, of course, a person's cancer risk.
So genetic testing actually looks at the DNA sequence that one was born with. So it helps define your actual risks, especially in patients diagnosed with cancer. Now, if you're found to carry a hereditary predisposition that is a pathogenic variant or mutation in a high-risk cancer susceptibility gene, um, one example now would be the BRCA1 and 2 genes, which cause hereditary breast and ovarian cancer syndrome, which is seen in about 5 to 10% of breast cancer patients. So knowing that it confers a higher risk of developing certain cancers like breast cancer and ovarian cancer, it helps us to make better treatment decisions, surgical decisions, knowing how well they will do with treatments, and also additionally find out about the risk of their family members. So it really does help a lot in identifying that person who's already been diagnosed with cancer, what their risk is, and also additionally their family members.
Okay, like for example, Dr. Ake, my mother unfortunately is no longer with us anymore, had cancer. So does that put me in a situation wherein I'm highly more susceptible than other people?
Well, I don't know your mom's actual diagnosis, so I
Ovarian, she had
need to
ovarian, she
know
had
that.
breast also.
Is that an
Oh,
indicator already,
yes,
having someone in
yes.
your family? Yes.
Yes. So we think of a hereditary cancer whenever we see a cancer case. Because remember, genetics is gonna be playing a role, no, in every cancer
Yes.
case. So we think of hereditary cancers if we see patients diagnosed at a young age. Young is defined as age 50 and below. Those who have a strong family history, which I think for you might be the case. We also do testing for patients who've had multiple primary cancers, like your mom having breast and ovarian cancer, definitely is a red flag to have someone be tested, no? And we also do testing for rare cancers, and one example is actually ovarian cancer. So given that, no, these risk factors, we recommend genetics risk assessment and testing for those who meet these
Yeah,
criteria.
Doctor, of course, I don't want to incite any panic among our viewers, but for example, like my mother had those cancers, no, those cancer concerns. Does that mean to say, am I susceptible? Because obviously I don't have ovaries. I mean, that cuts it out. But then will I have it manifested in another form of cancer? Or do I have to contact my female siblings, my sisters, tell them, you got to go test because this is what mom had?
Okay, well, again, it depends on what gene might have been running in your family, no? So let's assume you have the most common hereditary cancer genes, which are the BRCA1 and 2 genes, no? This causes hereditary breast and ovarian cancer syndrome, and this is associated with obviously breast and ovarian cancer, but it's also associated with prostate cancer,
Oh my.
male breast cancer, pancreatic cancer, and a type of skin cancer called melanoma. So we do have some perceptions kasi that we talk about breast and ovarian cancer and we just think of the females. We also have to think about the males
Yes,
who
of
may
course.
also have a risk of getting cancers. So like I said, there are certain hereditary cancer syndromes that will manifest with disease that males can also get.
Okay, since we're talking about, red flags, family members, let's get into it. Are there certain types of cancers where genetic testing should play a role?
Yeah, so for any cancer, I think we should think about hereditary cancer, of course. But there are certain cancers that we think of genetics more, and the primary example would be breast and ovarian cancer because they are associated with the most common hereditary cancer syndrome, which is the hereditary breast and ovarian cancer syndrome. Aside from that, there are also other types of cancers like colorectal cancers that
I was
are
about to ask, yeah.
associated with the most common hereditary colorectal cancer syndrome, which is called Lynch syndrome. We also have polyposis syndromes that can cause colorectal cancers. And if we think about other organs in the body, like there are hereditary cancer syndromes that are associated with stomach cancer and breast cancer. We also have kidney, bladder cancers. No? So virtually every organ that we see may have a hereditary component.
Yes. Doctora, what are the most common misconceptions of people about genetic testing for cancer? Because it's scary.
That's true, but I think the most significant misunderstanding that we think about is that most cancers are hereditary. That's not true. In reality, about 5 to 10% of cancers, only 5 to 10% of cancers are because of inherited mutations. But the vast majority, I'm going to say 90% of cancers are what we call sporadic. It happens by chance, maybe bad luck. But basically,
What?
it
Bad
has
luck? Oh,
different. Yeah, it's really a combination of several factors. No, number one is age. As we get older,
yeah.
the risk of
Okay.
getting cancers higher. And second would be our environment. Everything
Lifestyle. Yeah.
happened
Yes.
during your lifetime. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. Lifestyle, diet, smoking, alcohol intake, oral contraceptive use, chemical exposure, stress, etc. So all these things combined, no, age and environment will cause most cancer. So I think that's the most common misconception that we're
Yeah.
thinking about.
Doctora, just a follow up. You said obviously the normal ones like alcohol intake, of course, that causes
Lifestyle, yeah.
pancreatic cancer, liver cancer, and stuff like that. Smoking, obviously, right? Happy to
Yeah,
say I quit almost 3 months.
I know, doing good.
But you
very
said
good.
oral contraceptives. That's the
Yeah.
first time I've ever heard may be a carcinogen.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's quite common. A lot of women are taking that obviously for birth control. But in certain situations, not taking this for a long time will increase the hormone production in the body and may increase the risk of getting breast cancer.
Interesting. Did you know that?
Yeah, so that's why there's a certain limit, no, when you always have to consult with your doctor because you can't just take it forever.
Oh my goodness, that's
Yes.
good to note. Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, thanks for catching on that, Ferdy. Now, I want to talk about genomic tests. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Genomic tests. Although we keep mentioning it here, maybe some of our viewers are not familiar. What is it really? What does it really entail? For patients in the Philippines, how can they access this? What happens through the process? Para naman we can take out the fears and misconceptions that this have.
Okay. Well, genomic test is a broad term. It looks at every technology that looks at the DNA sequence that you may have been born with or a DNA sequence of the tumor tissue of a cancer. So that's a broad term. So what we're talking about right now, dealing with hereditary cancers, is what we call germline genetic testing, looking at the DNA sequence that one was born with. So it's very unique. It's like your fingerprint, only you have that DNA sequence. No? So that is what I'm talking about right now is germline genetic testing. Definitely, this is accessible in the Philippines. We have this available. There are some local labs that will have testing, although they are limited and we can only test for a few genes at one go. In my practice, I do send out to other labs in the US and other countries like Singapore, for example, where they are able to do broader testing test for more genes, get more information. Definitely, this is accessible. It's easy to do. We usually collect blood or saliva. These are very easy to obtain specimens, no? And we send them to the lab locally or abroad. Now, definitely cost may be an issue because these machines and the reagents that are used are quite expensive, and the turnaround time may also be an issue because we get results after about 2, 4, 6 weeks. Now, it takes some time. So, while it is accessible, there are certain issues that we have to take into account, but of course, it can be done, and
Okay.
it is available in the Philippines.
And I'd like to think that it would be life-changing,
Yes.
despite the price that you're, or the cost that it might come
Yeah,
with.
I don't know if you are comfortable answering this question, Dr.
Okay.
Kea, but what price range, should people expect if they want to do this kind of testing?
Well, it'll depend on what lab and what particular test you're gonna do. So it'll be in the range of like maybe 20 up to 50 or 60,000 for
Okay.
the genetic testing. Previously, it used to be about 200,000 to do tests for only the BRCA1 and 2 genes. So it was very limited, no, in the access. But right now, because there are a lot of labs doing it, the cost has gone down.
But you know what, Chal, I mean, at 50, 60, even 100,000, I mean, knowing that you may be susceptible to that is cheaper prevention-wise.
Prevention, I was going to say yes.
Yeah.
So
For
just to clarify, Doc, no, can genetic testing actually help family members? Ferdy was talking about the unfortunate thing that happened with his mom. Can this really help family members understand their own cancer risk, or if they have it?
Yeah, definitely. No? So, knowing your risks. Like, for example, if we just talk about general population, every woman has a risk of getting breast cancer in their lifetime. It's about 12.5% by the time you reach 70 years old. But the people who have these genetic mutations, like BRCA1 and 2, the risk can go up about 60 to 80%. So, you see that the difference is very big, right? And it would be good to actually know what your risk is rather than just surmising based on your family history. So definitely it will help the family
Right.
members understand the risk. It's also important to note, no, that the family members of patients who are already known to have a genetic predisposition would have a 50% risk for the first degree relatives of having the same genetic change. So it's very important to try to find out if you have it or not because it helps determine what kind of screening you actually should be doing. We can give measures on how to decrease your risk of cancer, taking prophylactic medications, for example, or even doing prophylactic surgeries like what Angelina Jolie did.
Yeah.
No? So there are a lot of ways that we are able to decrease that risk, no, to get
Right.
cancer.
So aside from prophylactic, what you call it, therapies and practices, Doctora, now that people have, or once they get the information, what's next?
Well, at least for those who've been diagnosed already with cancer, it can help open up treatment options for them. There are certain drugs that work better for patients who have these genetic mutations. We have right now targeted therapies, which again work better, and also in terms of side effects profile, no, are actually more tolerable. Aside from that, helping them make better decisions in terms of what surgeries they can do and also how they're going to be doing surveillance or monitoring into the future. So definitely there's a lot that we can do.
What we're really trying to say here, I guess, Doc, is that you don't need to be left in the dark.
No, definitely.
And be guessing around and saying, because my family have it, I probably would have it na rin. You could actually prevent it. You could find out and get information. But on more positive note, let's talk about the advances in cancer treatment. Maybe there's some things that you could share with us on terms
Quickly,
of
yeah.
research. What are you most excited about right now?
We are doing a lot of work in terms of genetics. One of them would be general population sequencing. So really getting more information about big numbers of people and knowing what they might be predisposed to. We also have some work on personalized cancer vaccines that can help decrease someone's risk of getting cancer. And definitely, there are a lot of new drugs coming out targeting these mutations that definitely will be able to help prolong the lives of patients or even cure them. So, definitely, there's a lot to do. I'm also very excited about early detection using blood tests rather than conventional screening measures. And it's really something that we should watch out for in the future.
All right.
Hopefully that becomes real. Dr. Ke on genetics, genomics, and personalized cancer treatment. Thank you so much, Dr. Francis Ke.
Thank you, Dr. Ke. Now we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. The Daily Dish will be right back shortly.